What's good? Now, this is gonna be a very, very hard video for me to make because, as many as you know, Undertaker probably wrestled his last match on Sunday against Roman Reigns. And I don't like it that it's his last opponent. I see that there's so much potential with the Cena match or with someone else. I don't know. But Cena was the match that I wanted. But whether I like it or not, his last match is probably with Roman Reigns. He looked like a defeated man. He looked like a man that couldn't could no longer do this at that level. At least in storyline. At least that's how he made it seem. And after the match, took off his gloves, took off his hat, took off his robe, put him in the middle of the ring, and left. Did his look back, did his hand in the air, and descended in the middle of the ramp. If that's not symbolism for his last match, I don't know what is. If that's not symbolism for an end of an era, I don't know what is. And I feel like many other people feel as well that my childhood, that's my childhood. The Undertaker, man. The first ever match that I watched, the first ever wrestling match that I watched. Now I realize how blessed I truly am because these kids get into wrestling now. They watch Dean Ambrose, they watch Seth Rollins, they watch Roman Reigns, and that's going to be their first match. That's going to be in 10, 15 years if they continue watching wrestling. If they continue watching wrestling, that's going to be their first match ever. My first match that I ever watched was Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy on Raw, the ladder match. And Jeff Hardy returned on Wrestlemania as well. But after that, I was like, this guy has something that I want to watch. And for the last 15 years, I've been watching him, man, and I've heard about him that he's the absolute professional. He's the man that'll never ever break character. Not once. And to see him kiss his wife after the match was. This is a man that debuted in the WWF in 1990. In the WWF, he still had a career in WCW as Mean Mark Callis. So he's an old school guy that respects wrestling. He respects the business, holds his character, always keeps character. Doesn't go outside, doesn't have a Twitter account, doesn't have a Facebook account that I know of. Doesn't go outside and do shoot interviews with this reporter or this reporter. You never hear rumors about the Undertaker messing around outside of the ring. Consummate professional. Always does what's good for the company. In his early days, he had terrible matches with Kamala, with what's the big guy's name? Giant Gonzalez in WrestleMania. Jimmy Snuka. So he was a man that would do what he's told. And now you hear the rumors or the stories of him in WrestleMania 14 going backstage to Shawn Michaels and saying, hey, if you don't do the job, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. That'll make anybody want to do the job. Anybody. A guy that never left to WCW while everybody was leaving to WCW. Hulk Hogan was a cash cow. Macho Man was a cash cow. Diesel and Scott Hall, the outsiders, left to WCW. Taker was one that never left. Also Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels was the biggest diva in WWF history. Shawn Michaels was never a diva. Undertaker was never a diva. Undertaker always did his job for everybody. You could say DDP. That's one guy. One guy in the 27 years. 27 years he's been into this company. And just to say what kind of professional he was He did the job to Roman Reigns in WrestleMania. A guy that WWE sees as the future of the company. And also, I heard that he was okay with it. Like, he wanted to do the job with him. So he sees something in Roman Reigns. A guy that should have never lost his WrestleMania streak at WrestleMania 32, Brock Lesnar. But a guy that ultimately knew, a man that ultimately knew that he had to do the job, that he had to go out losing, because that's how you do business. He understood that wrestling is a business, and you have to listen to your boss, and that you have to build your legacy so you could build up younger talent, which is something Undertaker always did. 2003 with John Cena, Brock Lesnar did the job in Hell in the Cell to Brock Lesnar. That's why another reason why I always like Brock Lesnar, because that's when I started watching wrestling. And to this day, when I hear the oh, get goosebumps. And to this day, when I hear the gong, I get goosebumps. Undertaker is the only man, is the only wrestler today that could make grown men mark out, that could make grown men act like little kids again. He was the only guy, especially when the streak was out, when the streak was, when he was 20 and 0, 21 and 0, 17 and 0, he was the only guy that his match meant more than the titles. And even this Sunday, his match meant way more than the titles. The titles didn't mean jack on Sunday. The title didn't mean anything. And both of them changed hands. Both of the titles changed hands. And the story was who? The dead man, Big Evil. He's the only man that brought us back to those good days. The days that when wrestling was good, when wrestling was something that everybody loved, when wrestling was cool. And that's what when he lost, you saw that guy. You saw people crying, grown men crying. Because that was 21 years in the making. They've been watching this man since they were children. I've been watching The Undertaker since I was 9 years old. I didn't cry this last Sunday, but I was upset. And me and my homie will watch it. If you saw my WrestleMania review, you know who he is. But we were both just shocked. When he lost his streak, we didn't say anything for 20, 30 minutes. After that, Daniel Bryan winning the title, who cares? Undertaker's streak is broken. That's how important that was. That's how important Undertaker's legacy is and ultimately will be in the wrestling business. A guy that turned shit. A zombie gimmick? You're a dead man? What does that even mean, a dead man? You're dead? You rose from the dead? What does that even mean? You're buried alive matches? That's weird. He took the silliest gimmick, a zombie, and he made it into the greatest gimmick of all time. Mark Callis turned the Undertaker gimmick, a dead man. I already said it, but a guy rolls his eyes into the back of his head, buries people alive. Only the Undertaker could have done that. Only Mark Callis could have done that. A company man. He stayed in the company, like I said, all these years. And one that deserves all the respect that he could get. And he's gotten it. You have Ric Flair saying that we all look bad in comparison. Ric Flair! That he looks bad, styling and profiling looks bad in comparison to The Undertaker. I will never forget the years that I watched him as the American Badass, as Big Evil, as the Dead Man. in his feuds with Brock Lesnar, in his feuds with Edge, building up young talent. Edge, Randy Orton, um, the tapes that I have on him, watching his match with Mick Foley, Mankind, throwing him off the cell. That's why people saying, I see a lot of people saying that his legacy is WrestleMania. Yes, that's a big part of his legacy, but he had a full career before his WrestleMania streak was even mentioned. He had great rivalries with Shawn Michaels, with Diesel, with Mick Foley. Before that, Hulk Hogan. Before the streak was even mentioned, before he even did the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at WrestleMania 18 with Ric Flair, another great rivalry, underrated rivalry. His legacy is much more than WrestleMania. It, its legacy is of a great wrestler, a great talent, a great character, a great gimmick. He's a man that he might not be the best on the mic, but he masked that with all his other abilities. Rest in peace. He was a character that didn't have to. He didn't have to talk that much because his actions spoke for themselves. His character spoke for himself. One that we won't soon forget, man. We will never forget. And I agree with OTRS Central, the Schleg Daddy, that he is absolutely, absolutely the GOAT. Faced everybody, beat the best, faced the best, did the job when he had to, and went out on his own. Went out the way that he wanted to. He will never be forgotten, man. The consummate professional. Undertaker's career, rest in peace.